8 signs someone is actually not a good person, even if they seem nice on the surface. It's often said that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but sometimes the cover can be misleading. People can seem nice and friendly on the surface. They smile, they're polite, and they say all the right things. But beneath that charming exterior, they might not be so kind after all. Not everyone who seems nice is a good person. Unfortunately, some individuals are skilled at projecting a positive image while hiding their true colors. In this video, I'll talk about 8 signs that someone may not be as good as they seem, even if they appear nice on the surface. It's all about recognizing the subtle signs and trusting your gut instincts. 1. They're overly critical. Some people have a knack for spotting the smallest flaws in everything around them. They're quick to criticize others, even for trivial matters. It's one thing to offer constructive criticism when it's asked for or needed. But if someone consistently points out negatives without ever acknowledging the positives, it can be a sign of a deeper issue. Being overly critical can be a sign that someone is not as nice as they seem. It may indicate that they have a negative outlook on life, or that they use criticism as a way to elevate themselves at the expense of others. 2. They don't respect your boundaries. Personal boundaries are crucial for maintaining a healthy relationship. Whether it's respecting your time, space, or emotions, acknowledging boundaries is a sign of respect. I recall a friend of mine. Let's call her Lisa. Lisa was fun to hang out with and always seemed lovely. But over time I noticed that she often disregarded my personal space and time. For instance, she would call me late at night, even when I'd mentioned needing to wake up early the next morning. Or she'd show up at my place unannounced and expect me to drop everything for her. In the beginning, I brushed it off, thinking she didn't mean any harm. But as time went by, it became clear that Lisa didn't respect my boundaries. This is a red flag that someone might not be as good of a person as they appear to be. They may seem nice on the surface, but consistently ignoring or disrespecting your boundaries is a sign of a lack of respect for you as an individual. 3. They're constantly gossiping. Gossip might seem harmless, even entertaining at times, but it's often a sign of a deeper issue. Individuals who gossip excessively usually lack empathy and respect for others' privacy. You might be surprised to learn that, according to a study published in the journal Social, Psychological, and Personality Science, people spend about 52 minutes per day on average gossiping. That's a lot of time spent talking about others. If someone you know is constantly gossiping, particularly in a negative or harmful way, it could be a sign that they're not as nice as they seem on the surface. It's worth remembering that if they're willing to talk about others behind their backs, they're probably willing to do the same to you. 4. They're never wrong. We all know someone who never admits to being wrong. No matter the situation, they always find a way to turn the tables or shift the blame. This kind of behavior indicates an inability to accept responsibility for their actions. It's a sign of arrogance and a lack of self-awareness, traits that don't align with being a good person. A person who appears nice on the surface but is never willing to admit their mistakes or accept responsibility could be hiding a less admirable character. Everyone makes mistakes. It's how we handle them that reveals our true character. 5. They don't show empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. It's a fundamental trait of good people. When someone is hurting, a good person can empathize with their pain, even if they haven't personally experienced it. I've noticed that people who seem nice but lack genuine empathy often fail to connect on a deeper level. They might offer a quick, "I'm sorry," when you're going through a tough time, but they fail to show any real understanding or concern for your feelings. A lack of empathy can be heartbreaking. It can leave you feeling alone and invalidated in your struggles. 6. They take more than they give. Relationships should be a balance of give and take. But some people seem to take more than they give, leaving you feeling drained and unappreciated. I had a friend who would always ask for favors, yet whenever I needed help, they were suddenly too busy. Over time, it became clear that while they were happy to receive, they weren't as willing to give back. This lack of reciprocity can be a sign that someone isn't as good a person as they appear. Even if they seem nice on the surface, a person who consistently takes more than they give may be using you for their own benefit. 7. They're always playing the victim. Do you know someone who always seems to have something to complain about? No matter what happens, they always find a way to make themselves the victim. This kind of behavior can be indicative of a person who refuses to take responsibility for their life. Instead of owning up to their mistakes or facing their problems, they choose to blame others. Playing the victim all the time is not a sign of a good person. It shows a lack of self-awareness and an unwillingness to grow or change. 8. They're dishonest. At the end of the day, honesty forms the backbone of all healthy relationships and interactions. If someone consistently lies or hides the truth, it's a clear sign they're not a good person, no matter how nice they may seem on the surface. Dishonesty erodes trust and can cause significant harm to both individuals and relationships. No one is perfect, but honesty is a trait that should never be compromised. If someone can't be truthful, their niceness is likely just a facade hiding their true character. Final thoughts. It's about actions, not appearances. Sometimes it can be challenging to distinguish between someone who's genuinely good and someone who's merely putting on a show. But it's important to remember that actions speak louder than words. A person might seem nice on the surface, but their behavior and the way they treat others can reveal their true character. From being overly critical to constantly playing the victim, these signs should serve as a warning that someone might not be as good as they seem. As Maya Angelou once said, "When people show you who they are, believe them the first time." So keep your eyes open and trust your instincts. It takes time to know someone fully, so be patient and watch their actions. After all, a good person is defined not by how nice they appear, but by how they act.